Hello there folks, Ferengi on board here again to create another video. This time I came up with a very interesting idea. I've been speaking with different people for quite a long time about parasitic entities and how they attach themselves. This is something that I can speak about for quite a lengthy time, and honestly I'm not interested in making a very big video. Like, I can speak about this in several videos. It would be much better because I don't want to end up with lengthy videos, although I kind of have this bad habit to over deliver. But I don't consider it something bad. It's just that most people may not be simply drawn to watch videos so long, especially that I'm still a beginner and I don't group them, or I don't classify the information that I give. I'm more of a free will speaker. Now, the topic today would be parasitic entities, and what are they, how they affect our lives, and how many are they? Well, a parasitic entity, just like in our physical realm, it's just an entity whose purpose is to gain energy from other entities, because itself alone it cannot create energy. Now, what are these entities actually? Well, they are a vibration, they are still energy, and they are created usually by us humans, and they have been created by us throughout history, and they have been created usually by our negative thoughts towards each and every possible situation. When you have, for example, a sensation of loss, your mind will mostly be focused on that loss, because no one actually teaches you how to conduct your mind towards more positive and constructive ideas. So many people lose themselves to negativity, and instead of actually, you know, thinking of better things, they just keep to their lower vibrational stuff, and they just keep thinking about vengeance and whatever else. Now, with this, it is a good thing and a bad thing. It is a good thing if you think about your negative vibrations, because you bring them out and you explore them. And life is all exploring in the name of consciousness. That's the purpose of life, learning and exploring in the name of consciousness. Now, what you put out, however, it also comes back. So the more hatred and negativity you put out, you will more or less, sooner or later, draw such people into your life, and you will actually surround yourself with the such. The first aspect of a parasitic entity is that it doesn't want you to love things. It doesn't want you to love anything actually, because love creates a powerful barrier. When you do something that you love, actually entities cannot affect you, because when you do something that you really love, it's like you cannot even be distracted from that. So honestly, the entities will have a hard time entering. However, there are many situations in which people do things that apparently they love, but unfortunately they don't have the awareness to find out that actually, on the contrary, there are entities who induce that pseudo love of a certain thing, and they do that. For example, people who end up as truly narcissistic, they are controlled by entities they no longer have power against, and those entities would simply ravel on people's pains. They will simply do whatever it takes to, inflict pain on others, because each of these entities has one power. If anyone has seen the anime Nanatsu no Teigai, or the Seven Deadly Sins, it is about some characters who have superpowers, but at the same time that superpower is also their greatest weakness, because if they perform otherwise than their superpower, then actually it can act as a weakness. So are these entities. These entities create pacts, usually subconscious pacts, with people, and these entities provide people with a certain power, but in return for energy or even control over themselves. And in many cases, people become so weak to these entities because they gain slowly and surely control over you. And that is why you have, for example, oversexual persons. These persons initially were people, normal people, who they thought they are ugly, they are sexually unappealing, and usually this happens to women. Many people believe that women have to be extra hot, they have to be, like extra busty, they have to have those perfect curves, and this actually beats very ugly against their will. It's something that many simply cannot handle. So they end up with the mentality of lack. I don't have enough beauty, I don't have enough importance in my life, I don't have enough attention in my life. And the moment you feel and start thinking about lacks, this is like a rescue signal, like an alarm. You actually act as an invitation to such entities. Because in the end, they still want, in a way, to help you, but it's more like for their own gain rather than, like actually helping you. So these entities, in most cases, it is said that they are severed from the main hub of creation, and they do not feed with energy in the sense that we do. Like we choose consciously to feed what we want to our minds through music, through films, through whatever we see, watch, smell, hear, and more so than that, these entities do not have the ability to actually rest. You see, it is said that demons, for example, don't sleep. Actually, in the astral realm, it is said that these entities don't necessarily sleep. They might have some energy regeneration cycles, but parasites are parasites. Usually, they do not procure their own food, they need to take it from others, just like in our physical realm. So, these entities cannot regain their life force, which is energy, and they are just like black holes. They just dissipate. And even if they dissipate very slow, they still need energy to maintain themselves. The more energy that they lose, the point is that the more they lose themselves. Because energy is life force. And one of the most important things they are after is our sexual energy. Because sexual energy is energy that is life force. It is sacred energy. It is sacred life force, and it is creational energy at the same time. The creation potential of everyone is simply hidden in a man's semen, for example. So even if, for example, women don't have semen, now there is a point. That sexual energy we have to preserve within ourselves. The moment we masturbate, when we release, unfortunately this energy is released, and many of these entities will actually feast on that and will want you to do that more and more because they don't have the possibility to procure that. But imagine that you give them one of the best feasts possible. You're feeding them, in this case, your life energy, and they won't back down from actually getting it. They'll actually fight for it. And that is why people end up wanting to masturbate more and more, because there is that control within them that they cannot hold. And beyond this lies the fact that they don't have good self-esteem. Because the moment you start having a lot of self-esteem and you try to build it, there will be a lot of people around you who will fight against you because their own demons want you to be down. Their own parasitic entities, because demons are not the only parasitic entities and there are things far worse than demons. And these parasitic entities will not accept you to become better, to become different, because it's their purpose to keep you lower vibrational. In this way, it is actually a lesson, because you learn that life sucks when you don't love yourself. And the question is, if you don't love yourself, do you think you can actually love others? Because, so within, so without. The way you are within, it's the same way you will manifest outside. You can try to pretend, but there will be people who will find out that you're just nothing else than a pretense, and then they'll probably unmask you, or it's like they will simply disregard you. They will be marked as a main target for you, but they will always have that power to simply ignore you. So This being said, parasitic entities have been created on this planet and any other planet in the universe and any other parallel universe by entities that follow a certain set of rules. In our universe, in this planet, if you think about negativity, you will lead to the creation of thought forms. And these thought forms, initially, they are subconscious, they are unconscious ones, and in time they become better and better the more you focus on things. And you know, there are those people around you that if you do them wrong, they will just keep thinking about revenge, and they will just keep thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking. So they will direct their minds basically towards creating such dark entities, such dark thought forms. And you know, they create so many of these, and these people actually become authoritarians in their life, and they tend to become narcissistic, and they actually become narcissistic because once they have created so many thought forms, those thought forms join them, and they become a much larger um, entity spawning factory, right? They are becoming the ruler in a way, in between inverted commas, of the thought forms that they create. They become, let's say, the little Hitler of their world, which is represented by a lot of such thought forms that they keep creating through their hatred, through their putting out a lot of misery, and all sorts of ideas of shapes and sizes. And having more and more of these entities will lower more and more their vibration, and therefore they will actually become some stalkers. They will want people to fail, they will want people to die, they will want people to suffer, they will want people to go through all sorts of problems just because, well, just because it becomes their purpose. They shape their purpose through their negativity and through the thought forms that they create. Even their brain structurally changes to suit this new role that the consciousness living in that body actually implements. Now, the body and the DNA of a person will always change, more or less, based on what that person wants to do. If you want to become an achiever and you do what it takes, your brain and your DNA will become changed so that you actually become capable of, you know, being compatible with what it needs and what it takes to become successful. If you want to become a dick and you do the work, which is much easier, guess what? Your brain and your DNA will actually work towards that. And that is why people end up ignoring so many of the things surrounding them. They will ignore a lot of the things, they will ignore a lot of ideas, and not necessarily ignore, it will be ignorance at the beginning, but afterwards it will be just normality. It will be just something normal. Now, we know that children, for example, cry a lot when they are young. They are very pure, they are very fresh, and more importantly, they are defenseless. And hospitals, for example, and maternities are usually places of utter negativity. They are like black holes draining you of energy, and it is one of the reasons why children actually cry. And when they cry and feel defenseless, they are actually being boarded by such entities since then. That is why you can see nowadays that children are so savage at times. They can be so hateful and so full of hatred, and a child's mind is a very powerful tool, because if you control a child from youth, you keep them very low vibrational, and since their mind up till the age of 7, around 7 years of age, up till then their minds are fully receptive. They don't have any sort of defenses or any sort of barrages and walls that you know, or shields that can keep such entities outside. That is why you will hear people, that is why children will come to you and as a parent, and they will tell you that there is a monster below their bed or in their room or something like that, but you haven't been taught by anyone to actually believe in such entities, and most likely you are just another dick like your parents were with you, and you will simply tell them that there's nothing to fear about, while also you're installing your own fears about that, which are subconscious fears. And so basically you're just fucking up your child. Actually, their mind. Let's say their mind. So honestly and shortly, to keep this as short as possible, at least for now, these entities are created by any negative thinking, and yes, and actually, these become more and more powerful the more they feed off of you and any other person. And there are entities that are sexually transmitted. If you have a lot of sexual partners, unfortunately, you will also take upon you the control of some of those entities, and they become like octopuses. They become entities that are capable of parasiting more people at the same time. How they do this? It's usually they are one entity which is very very far away from those people, because they usually keep themselves safe, some of the more conscious ones, and they send facets of themselves, like parallel projections of themselves, and they can send multiple of those to a single one person, because if you don't if your army can't break into a fortress, you obviously need a better trained army and also a bigger army, right? So they can also send more facets to a single person or to more people. And those have to do those biddings. They have to tempt people, and through those temptations, they have to, win more and more territory. They oftentimes even dispute territories with people, within people. But again, the moment they can actually feed themselves, each can feed themselves with a few energies, or usually one type of energy. And well, usually with us humans, we have so much energy. Like, believe that believe it or not, these entities are so weak that even if you blow air at them, you can bring them down. They are so defenseless and they have so little energy that you can simply push them away with your own thoughts. However, the problem is that they teach you that certain things are impossible, and they teach your parents to believe that and tell you that, because as a child you believe that your parents are gods, and this is a way that entities ensure that they don't control your parents only, they control you, and through you they will control your children as well, because their only power over you is the idea of dark magic. And dark magic is nothing else than manipulation, because through manipulation I will implant a thought in your mind, and you'll actually be going to inhibit yourself through a belief. But a belief is nothing else than accepting something even if it does not have proof of that. That is actually a belief. And with this, people end up being so easily parasited by all sorts of thoughts. Now, hopefully this video was a mind opener, an eye opener for now. I actually love speaking about parasitic entities and the such. So, until next time, what I can tell you is have an awesome year. Try becoming more and more, how to call it? Yes, try becoming more and more introspective. And a way to spot parasitic entities is through your own feelings, because they want you to become emotionally numb. When you become emotionally numb, it's like you are dead. And when you are dead, because you are ignorant or the such, there are usually such entities that, they have control over you. Worse than this also, it's also the fact that even achievers can have some demons, because um, when someone is very 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 good at something, it can also be the help of a parasitic entity, which may feed upon their energy. But if that person ends up doing what they like, they won't be accepting like 95% of the parasitic entities. So in such cases, in certain cases, these parasitic entities, some of them actually come with, like usually demons do this, they provide you with a power, but you have to feed them some of your energy. And there are some demons, for example, who are, let's say, more divine by nature, and um, they actually can stay with you even if you love yourself, because in a way their purpose is no longer like the lower demons. Lower demons actually are interested in draining whatever they want from you. You know, it's like takers. They just want to take from you. They're not interested in giving something back. The higher demons, the higher functional demons, these are entities who, they come to you, they offer you a certain power, and it's usually that moment when you feel that you suck so bad at something and then you're suddenly good at it. It could be that you have created a subconscious pact with such an entity, and this entity actually helps you in a way, because in return they also help themselves and you subconsciously help themselves. Why it is a bad thing? Because they create a pact with you against your conscious will, and the pact is the will is bypassed, and the pact is signed because in your subconscious you want to do that so bad that you will actually do anything for that. And if you're lucky for some of these entities to come, they will teach you, they will give you some resources to do that, because they know that in the end it's a win-win. They get the energy that they need to sustain themselves, to sustain their personality, their existence, and they will actually help you in doing certain things. Unfortunately, in many cases, they can have you do, like, actually end up overdoing things, but come again, you will most likely use their help for a certain time. Uh, some people actually use their help for the whole life, because they still don't get good at doing something, and they get good only by overdoing it. So some people will not be able to do things like professionally. They will do something by working, let's say, twice the time, and they will need that demon again and again, and that demon actually will stay to support itself. And as long as it stays, it lends you the power to stay razor sharp focused, and it is a way of dominion. It is something that higher demons do, because if they keep you focused on something and it's actually something that you also like, or they implement you the idea that you like it and you follow them, and so basically they rule over you with doing something that they like, because in the end every such parasitic entity wants to experience life, but they can't do it because they don't have a physical body. So if they gain control of a physical body, they can actually experience life. That is why many people end up doing things that they didn't want, like selling their house and moving abroad, while not necessarily wanting that. And these higher demons will actually give you some of their powers in order to do whatever you want. Don't forget that as a parasite, they also experience what you experience, or part of it. And when you become a professional at doing that, they understand that, hey, I have helped this person, they have achieved what they want, and unlike most other parasitic entities, they will simply move away. They will move away because you have reached a level where you no longer require their help, and if you don't require their help and they don't leave, they will be sent away because you're no longer going to focus on them and their help. And you actually become even more energetic because you no longer feed them. And that's how you get those people who can do like 20 hours of work a day and just sleep 3 or 4 hours. Many people oversleep because they have to gain a lot of energy, and through that they have to feed the lower entities that actually manifest in them and keep them down. Now, I've spoken a lot, I mean a lot more than I actually wanted to speak about these, and I will keep it for another video. So until then, don't forget, you have more power than you believe. Become more introspective and you shall find that power. The truth is always inside, and more so than this, life is awesome, and also so are you.